Hello, Kathleen in Smithfield, Rhode Island.
That's right, from the Thirsty Beaver. So we're so psyched to be out here. We're having some couple of technical difficulties, but hopefully we'll get recorded and you guys can watch a great demonstration from our beloved Dieter Kamm. Dieter comes to us once again to share his mastery of all things spirits. As many of you know, Dieter is a graduate of the class of 1988, and he has over 25 years of experience in the importing and distribution of fine wines. He's over the last year been working in national sales with Haus Alpens, a leading importer focused on fine and traditional aperitifs, Amari wine, spirits, and liqueurs.
Wow, I couldn't have said that better.
Wow. I think I said it quite well enough. Sorry, but anyway, well, we are very excited to have Dieter here. Thanks to his extensive experience and will share his knowledge. Dieter has been a fantastic ambassador for Bryant. He's helped us host a number of wine tastings in Manhattan, and he's come to campus over the years for wine tastings. And of course, we had a fantastic mixology and history lesson, the art of the Negroni, with him during the beginning of this whole pandemic. So what better way to start to shed some of the layers of this pandemic year and close it out with our mixology expert with tonight's great demonstration. So I hope you all enjoy, and cheers, everybody.
Wow, thank you, Kathleen, for the introduction. And thanks everybody else for doing all the work behind the scenes. Jessica, Robin, it's been quite a production. It's been a lot of fun putting this whole thing together. So welcome everybody to the New Jersey Satellite Zoom studio. Today we're going to present some cocktails for the group today. We've got 3 cocktails that'll form the kind of the hub for what we're going to do today. And if we have time, we can get into the bonus 3. We'll be working with some specific product tonight, but you can exchange and interchange many different products to make these drinks. But if you don't have exactly the ingredients that we're talking about on the program, don't worry about it. You can go back and get them later and try it. But I worked closely with all the folks up at the Alumni Association up in Bryant to put together some cocktails we thought would really work well for us, and especially coming into the summer months. Some of these are really an extension on what we did last time with the Negroni. We've got a couple other Negroni type drinks that we're going to talk about today. So anyway, welcome everybody. I'm honored to be invited back. Thank you very much for having me. And as Kathleen mentioned, I'm class of 1988. I think I saw a few names. I'm looking at the screen as I speak, and I can't see everybody, but I think I saw a few names of people with whom I went to school way back in the 80s. And Michelle Dupree and Michelle Hoffmeister. I think you just joined in a little bit later, a few minutes ago. Jim McGee, 88. I see you there. It's kind of hard to see the screen, but anyway. I figure I've been doing this for 25 years, and every time I do an event, what I've learned from experience is let's get some drinks in our hand and stop blah, 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 all the talking. So let's jump into the first drink, and we can talk about, I can talk about what goes into the drinks. I can really get as deep as we want to, and we can keep this as light as we want, or we can get as intense as we want. So we've got a chat, right, Jessica? We have a chat room up. And if you have a specific question, you can direct it to the chat, and Jessica will be working the questions, and then hopefully I'll provide the answers for you. So tonight's theme, going into the summer, we've chosen a few different spirits. The first one we're going down to Jamaica. We're going to do a spin-off from a year ago, which was the Negroni theme. We're going to do what's called a Kingston Negroni, and I thought, oh, Kingston, Rhode Island. Well, it's Kingston, Jamaica, but if we can pretend it's Kingston, Rhode Island if we want. So let's go with let's make the first cocktail. What do you say? The first cocktail, I'm going to stir instead of shake, and I'll go over some of the tools I have at the bar too, and give you an idea. And if you want to get more in depth, you can certainly ask me too. But some of the basics: we've got a pitcher to stir. We got a long nice long spoon to give you good leverage. That's key. I find I use that a lot. If you want to go a little bigger, you're making drinks for more than 2 or 3. I like using my beaker, kind of a science project we've got going here. But the first one, we're not going to shake, we're going to stir. So Negroni, it's generally equal parts of gin, vermouth, and a red bitter. Tonight, the spin is going to be equal parts of rum. There you go, rum, red bitter, and vermouth. Now, there's a bunch of different vermouths you can get. There's a bunch of different bitters you can get, and definitely many different rums you can get. Tonight, I'm using the one that we import called Smith & Cross. It's a Jamaican rum, and there was just an article in what was it, GQ or some magazine, I forget what it was, but they said it's not for the faint of heart. This is it's a really robust, rich, earthy, kind of funky, really funky rum. So if you like your rum funky and you're not afraid to go down that road, this is a good one for you. Equal parts rum, bitters, and vermouth. And what we find with Negroni, so I'm going to fill up my pitcher. The ice cubes I'm using tonight, you might think, oh, ice is ice. I'll tell you what, I wish I learned about this a long time ago. I'm using these square ice cubes. These things are great, game changer. I love them. They don't get stuck in your lip when you're trying to drink real fast. And the only problem I have with them is trying to teach my kids to replenish them all the time because they like to use them. So, all right, here we go. The Kingston Negroni, equal parts. I'm using 1.5, 1.5, 1.5. It's a pretty boozy drink. The one thing we've got going for us is that the bitters we're using, it's not Campari, it's not Aperol, it's a wine-based bitters. We'll get into that in just a minute. But this is a very what I call boozy rum. It's a 94. It's a 94, 57, 104%, 104 proof alcohol. So this is 114. It's a high proof. It's called Naval Strength, and the reason it's called Naval Strength is because they wanted to bring the most concentrated rum that you could. I think it went all the way to the late 70s, where England, Great Britain, still had. It was part of the deal. If you were in the Navy, you still had your daily ration of a pint of rum, and so they had to fuel a lot of rum for the sailors. And the best way to do it was to give the highest potency rum. So we're going equal parts. I'm making some extra here for some fans in the home studio. So I'm going to go about 2, 2, and 2. 2 ounces rum. Going to the red bitter we're using tonight is Cappelletti. Show of hands, just raise your hands if you've heard of Aperol or you've heard of Campari. They're both spirit-based bitters, red bitters from Italy. This is called Cappelletti, and it's one of the ones I import, and I love it because it's family-owned. They've been around since the 1800s. One of the oldest red bitter producers in Italy. They're all natural, so you don't get any of the red dye number 3 in there. It's wine-based, and that's nice because when you use a wine-based bitter, you've got enough alcohol in this drink already. There's no mixture in it. It's a really heavy, boozy drink. If you use a wine base, you bring some acidity into the game. You bring a little bit of a finesse. You bring some more backbone, and you bring a freshness because it's a wine base. So it's a wine base up in the area called Trentino Alto Adige, which is way north. We're going to put equal parts of that in here. Oh dear, I think I've gone a little heavy. I'm going to have to switch pitchers. And the final part is vermouth. Tonight we're using a Cocchi, which is an Italian vermouth. It's one of the only true vermouth di Torinos, which is up in Piedmont. So Roberto Bava, he is the proprietor of Cocchi. And vermouth, show of hands, has anybody heard of vermouth? Remember the old days, all of our parents had a bottle of vermouth that seemed to sit around for about 20 years, and they all made martinis where they just passed the bottle over the top. Well, those times have changed. We're in a rebirth of vermouth. Vermouth is huge. It's really picking up steam. Red vermouth, we're going to do a white vermouth later tonight too, a blanc. It's a slight sweetness. But the vermouth is going through the ceiling right now because people, they like the wine-based component, but they like the herbal bitterness. And where you get the bitterness from in vermouth is called wormwood. You've heard of absinthe. Wormwood is it's a plant, and you take the bark and extract the bark, and you use the wormwood. Absinthe was the liquor, the spirit that made Van Gogh go a little bit crazy and cut his ear off in Paris. But since then, they've learned to tone it down and release some of the toxins that are found in wormwood. So it can be toxic, but it's not for the sake of making vermouth. So you get the wormwood that gives it the kind of bitter back palate. A sugar, caramelized sugar that's added to a wine base, and then you've got the Cappelletti, which is also going to give you it's about 15 different herbs, mountain herbs, that are going to give it bitterness, freshness from a white wine called Müller-Thurgau is the base. You've got this big, fat, badass rum from Jamaica that's earthy and funky. And so there we go. I'm going to use a strainer. What I like to do is I like to stir it. You want to dilute a drink like this because there's no mixer in it. So I like to stir for at least half a minute, 1 minute. Give it a good stir. Let those ice cubes melt. Even maybe give it a little cup like this, but you want to get a dilution in there at the same time while you're getting it really cold. That's going to give it a little bit more elegance, make it a little bit more palatable when you go to drink. There we go. I'm just pouring it back to the small pitcher so my strainer will fit. Now I'm straining. Here's a cool trick. Instead of building it over the rocks and stirring it in the glass, instead of stirring over the rocks and pouring straight up, pouring up into what's called a coupe, I like to pour it back over ice. And here's what I like to do. I like to stir in the small squares. For this drink, I like to use. We'll talk about glassware tonight a lot. I like to use just rocks glasses, short rocks glasses. I think they work the best. If you're going to drink outside, you can use a Yeti. Now, another game changer, the big ice cubes. You can get these silicone ice cube trays anywhere on Amazon. They're cheap, but you make these big honking solid ice cubes. So here's the deal. We've got dilution from the small ice cubes. We've melted some of that down. There's water in the drink now, but it's become cold. Now we don't really want to dilute it much more, but we want to keep it cold. Ergo, the big ice cube. Boom. Wow, these are big drinks. We're gonna get knocked on our butt. Oh, you want one? And one for my underage daughter. Just back from her freshman year at Boulder, Colorado. There you go. All right, for this drink, I'm going to garnish with an orange peel. I went ahead and I've gone ahead and put a few together. I'm going to go over here to the garnish table, grab my orange. I like using a potato peeler. Get a nice big chunk. You want to keep along the top. You want to get it thick, but not too thick where you pick up what's called the pith, the white part. The white part's bitter. You don't like that. So stay away from the white part of the peel. Got a few here. And if you want to try something fun, take a sip of the cocktail first. That's pretty good. Now you put the garnish in there. What I like to do, you bend the peel and squirt the oils. All the aroma comes from the oil of the orange or the grapefruit. So you want to spray the oil into the glass, and I give it a nice twist just to make it more presentable. Drop it in there. But you'll when you go back and taste it now, you instantly pick up this beautiful citrus aroma from the oil that's just been sprayed. You don't need to rub it all over. Just give it a good spray. You'd be surprised how much comes out. There you go. Voila. There's my mother in the studio audience. My sister in the studio audience. There, and there we go. The Kingston Negroni. Salute. Cheers. Cheers. Cheers, everybody. let's just pontificate on this for a moment. That's pretty good. There's a lot of, I'm picking up a lot of rich vanilla. The Koki Vermouth, it's one of my favorites. It's a richer, got a lot of root beer, cola, vanilla. It's a pretty rich, it's a pretty rich vermouth from northern Italy, and I thought it might be too much to go with this. There's another one we import called the Dolan. This is the one you'd probably see more than the Koki. This is ubiquitous. It's not only that, it's just about everywhere. It's a little lighter. This is a French vermouth. It's from Chambray, so it's a little more finesse. It's a little bit lighter, a little leaner, and not as sweet. So that actually might go better with this drink, just because we're overpowered with this big, heavy Jamaican rum. But I kind of like this. I like it. I've got a bit of a sweet tooth, even though I talk dry. I like a little bit of sweetness. What do you think? Any comments? It's hard to read my screen.
No comments yet.
Any questions?
Yeah, if you guys have questions, feel free to unmute or to pop it in the chat.
Can we get a picture of the scene at the Thirsty Beaver? I want to see what's going on there.
Absolutely. They actually have it off right now. 1 second, I'll pop it on.
Well, hello, Thirsty Beaver.
Right there, mingling.
There it is. Hello, Diane. Diane's one of my classmates.
Yeah, I think it's a little hard for them to hear right now, but they're definitely enjoying some of your drinks that you're making tonight, since they have it at the bar.
That's cool. I'm glad you guys were able to put that together.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. All right. Well, that's drink number one. You guys want to roll into drink number two? Now, if you're properly prepared for this evening, you should have a few glasses. So you don't have to chug it and drink the next one. But you put this to the side and go to the next glassware. That's what I'm going to do. And I'll come back to it. All right. Drink number two. What do we have, Jessica? The El Bulldog. So the first session a year ago, we created a drink called the Bulldog. It was a drink that we created just for the event, and named after the Bulldog. And tonight we're gonna do a little bit of a twist on that. We're gonna go with tequila. So let's see. We're gonna do tequila, what's called a quinquina, and a blanc vermouth. Okay, let's get going. That off. And if I'm doing anything here that you want me to expound upon, let me know. Ask me. So I'm going to do the same thing. No, this one we're going to shake. We're going to use a large shaker for this one. Shake versus stir. I don't know. I like if you want to get even more dilution, shaking is good. If you've got any kind of citrus in a drink, shaking is great because it emulsifies it and gives it a little bit of richness and roundness. I like tequila drinks. I like them shaken. I think you get more ice in the drink, and it gives it just kind of cuts the cuts the tequila a little bit better. So we're going to go with equal parts tequila, quinquina, and blanc vermouth, but I'm going to bump up the tequila a little bit because I think this drink needs to show some earthiness from the tequila. And tonight we're using, for this drink, we're going all blanco. We're using the tequila blanco. So any good tequila needs to be 100% blue agave. This one I was recommended by my Rhode Island distributor, Michael Lester. I don't know if he's joining us at the Thirsty Beaver tonight, but they distribute this one, Lunazel. It's seventh generation family from Jose Cuervo, and they went out on their own and started this production. They do the tequilas you really need to know that the three types, the important types, are Blanco, Reposado, and Añejo. And the Blanco is pure. That's what we're using for this drink. Pure white, hasn't been aged. There's nothing artificial in there. It's simple. It's just fermented. It's a fermented agave, water, and yeast. That's it. So we're going to go, like I said, equal parts, but a little bit higher tequila. So I'm going to do about a 2-ounce tequila. Let's call it 1.5 tequila, 1 ounce vermouth, 1 ounce quinquina. We'll talk about quinquina in a second. There we go. Shaker. There's the tequila. Boom. The next item, we're using a product called Cap Course Quinquina. Quinquina is a whole category. I don't know. Raise your hand. Has anybody heard of Quinquina? This is pretty cool. This is it's a category of aperitif wines that they're wine based, and they're infused with the quinine. With Quinquina, it's a tree. It's the Quinquina bark, and that's where they get the quinine from. We're going to talk about Fever Tree in a minute on the next drink, and Michelle's going to tell us a little bit about Fever Tree. Same concept. The quinine that's in tonic water. There's quinine in there's Quinquina, which is quinine in this Cap Course Quinquina, and Quinquina is like the CBD of the 1800s. It was the cure-all. If they realized that this could cure malaria, that changed the world, because now they could go to places and not die, and they could conquer other civilizations and spread colonialism throughout the world without the fear of dying from malaria. So it was a game changer for that. And they started putting it in everything. They started putting it in wine. They started putting it in water. They had medicine made out of it. Whatever they could put it in, they put in. So that's where this product gets its bitterness, from a product called Maté Cap Course. And this producer is actually the oldest aperitif producer on the island of Corsica. So it's France, just north of Sardinia. It's the wine that grows in Sardinia and Corsica are called Muscat, but the big one is the Vermentino. So it's a Vermentino-based wine aperitif with a bunch of different herbs. And there's also there's a secret little herb in here. It's this funky orange with a really thick skin called a canat, and it's a thick skin orange, and they have some of that in there. So it's got a citrus component to it also. And the final component to this drink is we're going to use a white vermouth. And tonight I selected one called Cammoz. So Cammoz was it's the second oldest vermouth producer in the Chambray region of France. The first oldest was Dolan. So Dolan was actually a competitor to Cammoz, but Cammoz is the first one to ever make a Blanc style, a clear Blanc style. Blanc vermouth means it's got slight sweetness to it. Again, we're going wormwood is the component that gives it the back palate bitterness, and it's wine based. There's sugar in it. The dry white has very little sugar. The Blanc has a little bit more sugar. And for this drink, we want a little bit of sugar without having to add a simple syrup. So that's why we selected the Cammoz Blanc vermouth. So,
Peter, we have a question. Is there anything from Laura? Is there anything we can substitute for Quinquina?
Not really. You got to find a Quinquina. You can do, you can do a Lillet. Makes a white Lillet. It's a Bordeaux white based. That's got some herb in it. You can do. There's this thing called a gentian. There are a few products called gentian that have a similar component. It's not Quinquina, but it's a gentian is another it's kind of a thistle bush that you can that yields a very bitter component to it. So you can use that. This is a spirit base instead of a wine base. But of all the products that I've imported, this is one of my favorite. I got to tell you, I love this Cap Course. It goes great with tequila. It goes great with ginger beer. It's a really cool product, and it's got some. It's got a lot going on. It's got the herbal, the elegance, the bitterness. You should, if you're interested, you should try and ferret this one out. It's a cool one to have around the house. All right, we're gonna shake this one. Make sure we're on there solid. You want to get both shoulders? That's really important. You think I'm kidding? No, you have to have both shoulders. Otherwise, the drink comes out and it's not balanced. If you shake over your right shoulder more than your left shoulder, it's going to be an unbalanced drink. right? I've got a real winner over here in the studio audience tonight. All right, so we just did a good shake. Before we do that, I'm going to add some bitters too, some Angostino bitters. This is a staple. You buy one, seems to last. Ask your parents; they probably still have one from 30 years ago. Three shots of that in there. Give it another shake. Now for this drink, hey, where's the wine glasses? There's one. All right, I'm going to use. This is my go-to glass. I really am, as Kathleen mentioned, I'm more of a wine guy than a spirits guy. I just got into the spirits about a year ago. I've always been a fan of spirits, always been loosely connected to this side of the business. But I started out in wine, and that's been my only real job I've had for the last 28 years or so. So this is my go-to shape of glass. I don't use stemware very often. I tend to go for the stemless. These are, they're not that expensive. You can get good ones. Riedel makes a good one. Schatz Wiesel, but there's you can get good ones as long as you want it. Want a nice thin lip. You don't want too thick a lip. But these are great, and I find myself going to this for cocktails, for wine, for just about everything. It's my utility glass. So what I'm going to do here, since I want to get, I don't mind having a little bit more. A little bit more dilution. So I'm going to go with the small ice cubes on this one. Audience, do you have a? All right. How much did they charge you to get into the studio tonight? How much did they charge you to get into the studio tonight? You're scalping tickets outside? My gosh. All right, the El Bulldog. And what are we going to garnish this with? Grapefruit, right? I think I want to go grapefruit with this. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. This is the secret ingredient to this one. Gentle. Don't want to stir it up. All right, the secret ingredient to this drink, and I did a lot of playing around with this. This is I'm going to give this a big plug. Fever Tree. This is my sister's here in the studio audience. She has turned more people onto Fever Tree. She buys more of the stuff. She's a great ambassador to that. And once we get the drink poured, I'm going to tell you a good story. But we're going to top this off with about 3 ounces of Fever Tree grapefruit. Do you have a glass too? You want to share one? Here we go. So Fever Tree grapefruit soda, about 2.5 ounces or so. One more. All right. Give it a little bit there. And we're going to finish with a grapefruit garnish. Come over here to the garnish station. I just happen to have a few prepared in advance. How about that? Great idea. So boom, grapefruit, same thing. Bend it, squirt it. Get the citrus oils to spray.
Yeah, Dieter, Michelle was just saying earlier that the grapefruit tonic or tonic water has a lot of quinine in it. So it's actually really good for you, right?
It does. And I think that's where the name of Fever Tree came from, where the tree that produced the quinine prevented fevers. There you go. So I'll let Michelle, but all right, so first of all, cheers to the El Bulldog Great tequila drink. Grapefruit and tequila are awesome together. And you put a quinquina in there and a little bit of a Blanc Vermouth. It's fantastic. You get the earthiness of the tequila. You've got the sweetness of the vermouth that cuts through it. I love this drink. Cheers. So we have Michelle Hoffmeister is joining us tonight, and here is a great story. This is a story that it's emblematic of the power of the alumni networking. So here we were talking one day with Jessica, Robin, Kathleen, the whole gang. We were going over the drinks, and I proposed this drink, and I was talking about Fever Tree grapefruit soda. And you know how it works. Suddenly the next day, the secret speakers that are in my house that are always on, it must have picked up on that. So I got pinged on LinkedIn for Fever Tree. I said, well, I wonder why Fever Tree is pinging me on LinkedIn. Well, of course, they're owned by Facebook, and they're spying on me because they want to know what I'm doing. So I get a link to Fever Tree, and one thing leads to another. There's you may know this fellow Bryant alumnus, Michelle Hoffmeister. Well, I don't know her. She works at Fever Tree. So suddenly I was introduced now to Michelle. I reached out to Michelle. I gave her a message. I private messaged her through LinkedIn, and we struck up a conversation. And now I've got a new friend in the industry. So Michelle, welcome. It's great to meet you in person.
Everyone. Nice to meet you.
Michelle works at Fever Tree.
Yeah, I work at Fever Tree as a global supply planner. I graduated Bryant in 2017. Both of my in-laws also met at Bryant and got married after. So the Bryant bond grows strong. As Dieter knows, the wine and spirits industry is a booming during COVID because everyone's at home drinking. But yes, we at Fever Tree, we strive to make every drinking occasion better. And you'll notice that when he was talking about malaria, Fever Tree comes from that tree, call it like a fever tree, and it's made with the quinine. Fever Tree actually has the highest level legal allowed of natural quinine in the drink. So you can always know that every drink that you have has, the most natural ingredients sourced with with communities. So thank you so much for inviting me, and also thank you for supporting Fever Tree. So thank you.
So you're a little younger than I am, right?
Yes, a little.
Yeah, just a little. Wow. Has it been that long? Man.
But thank you so much for using the product and being an advocate, as well as being a new friend. So thank you, everybody.
Cheers, Michelle. I'm glad this got us to connect.
Absolutely.
We'll have to get together in New York, okay? I'm not far away.
Yes, absolutely.
I have a question in the studio audience.
What class were her parents?
What class were your parents in?
89.
89? Wait a minute. Your parents went, I'm a year older than your parents?
In-laws. I don't know. Paula
In-laws.
and Paige. So.
Okay, what's her last name?
Paige, P-A-G-E. So.
Ah. Are they on here?
No.
Okay.
But yeah.
That's probably their orientation there.
Louis is the reason why we ended up going to Bryant. So it was the best decision of my life. But I'm so glad that, you're in New York and, spirit industry. I love Bryant. So thank you, guys.
That's great. And it looks like you're up at your cabin in Wyoming right now? Is that...
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire, okay.
Yeah, it's better than the shoebox apartment.
All right, any other questions, comments? Michelle Dupree, how you doing up there? I see you in the upper right-hand corner.
Doing great.
This is Jessica Cantone, okay, good to see you. Is that Jim McGee? I think I saw him earlier, yeah. All right, you wanna go to drink number 3? Here's a classic.
Is Jim McGee there?
A different Jim McGee, yeah. My brother has a friend, Jim McGee from UMass, different Jim McGee. We're gonna go the classic Tom Collins. It's a great drink for poolside, and it's a cool story. And I have a great gin that complements it perfectly. So for this one, we're gonna shake it again. And for this drink, I'm going to use the official Bryant alumni shaker. guys like that camera angle? A lot of work went into that. A lot of work went into the different camera angles. We got the front, the side. Amazing. All right, Tom Collins. It's been around since the 1800s. It was originally called the John Collins. It's not a joke. The shaking over the shoulder was a joke, but it was the John Collins. And then they decided to make it with Old Tom gin instead, and it evolved into the Tom Collins. So we're going to go with, and I'm using all my good ice cubes tonight. Oh, yeah, I think she'll put a recipe up, and the studio audience is asking for the recipe to be put on the screen. All right, for this, we're going to use a product called the Old Tom Gin.
Okay.
The gin is great. I'm going to use this cool shaker, cool jigger I got too. So we're going to go, let's see the measurements on this. We go 2 to 1. 2 to 1 gin, lemon juice, and simple syrup. So a little bit on the gin. So gin, 1800s, you got to understand they were making some really bad gin. It got so bad that they started to infuse it with cinnamon and sugar, and then that became the style. Once they started making better gin, that style went away, but they resuscitated that style and created the Old Tom style. So Old Tom is a little bit rounder, has slight sweetness, some citrus, but it's more of the cinnamon pronounced instead of just citrus and coriander, and juniper. Less juniper, more cinnamon, a little bit of sugar. So as a result, it makes a very good Tom Collins. So we've got 2 parts of the gin. I'm going to come back over here to the garnish section. I'm going to grab a lemon. Uh-oh. Now I did it. I cut my finger off. That's a good trick.
You can't see it, but you had some laughs through the videos.
The kid, yeah, it's hard. It's a one way here, but the kids love that one. They all go, ah. All right. Squeezing out my lemon. 2 parts Old Tom gin. 1 part lemon. And 1 part simple syrup. Something I just kind of keep around the refrigerator. I found an old dressing bottle. It's called simple for a reason. It's half sugar, half water. You boil it down, you melt it, and you put it in a jar. And it seems to last forever if the ants don't get to it. Simple syrup, it just what it does, it just gives you a vehicle to infuse the sugar without having the granular sugar still in the drink. Okay, so I'm going to try this pop. Official Bryant shaker. Here we go. Oh yeah, it's got a nice feel. Got a good ring in there. Hermetic seal. Lid stays on. This one I like to shake the hell out of it because you got the lemon juice in there and the sugar. It's going to emulsify and give a little frothiness and richness. All right. Both shoulders. That's all we want in there, right? Yeah, we're going to top it with soda. Hi, dog. Want to come say hi? For this drink, I like to use a tall glass. So we're going to use tall Tom Collins glasses. You can use smaller ice cubes for this. Crushed ice works well too, but I don't really like crushed ice because it melts too fast. Great poolside drink, not too boozy. Yeah, you can drink this one at noon and still be okay. The assistant, can I get some more ice? Okay. Strain back over the rocks. You see me doing that a lot. I like that technique. Shake and strain back over fresh rocks. And finally, we're going to top this with soda water. Now I went ahead and splurged and I got Fever Tree soda water, club soda. Right, Michelle, if 3/4 of our drink is mixer, it should be good. So voila, we're going to top it off with club soda. And we've got enough lemon in here already, so I'm not going to squeeze a wedge of lemon. I'm just going to go with a simple lemon wheel just for presentation. So I'm back over here at the garnish station. I've got my lemons pre-cut. Just put a little snip in the side, and boom. All right. There you go.
Oh dear. Nasty.
All right, the classic Tom Collins. Sweet, sour, gin. Cheers.
Cheers.
That's pretty good.
That is delicious. Oh my goodness. Large,
Simple, clean, nothing fancy.
delicious. That is really a good drink.
Questions, comments? You guys want to go into more depth at all with some of the products we've got here?
That is delicious.
Um, the gin we've chosen tonight is called Heyman's, and it's a gin that it's the only gin we import. It's the oldest family-owned gin producer in London, and it's cool. It's still family-owned. They were the sole suppliers to the British Navy when they made the Royal Dock, which is the Naval Strength gin, which we have in another recipe down the road. That's but it's all of our producers we like to have their family. They're not corporations. They're people, and that's the way I've always liked to do business. One thing about how I got into the business, I think it's worthy to note that in all that practice we had back in college, I was actually able to parlay all that experience and make a living out of doing it. So all those late nights at Kirby's and Parentes and early mornings at the Breakfast Club on Thursday mornings, it paid off. I got very good at drinking, and I can make a living off it now. And it's been my only real job, I like to say, because I was a ski instructor for about 6 years in Colorado. But then when I got my first real job, it was selling wine, and I've never left, never looked back. And I've been able to put kids through college and put a roof over our head and still enjoy life with my job. So
Dieter, you have a shout out from Jackie. He's I believe it's she said, "Thanks, Dieter. Awesome to see you and great demo." And then also Dieter, well, we're having a couple of things come up in the chat. Were your tastes so fancy in college? What was your go-to drink?
oh, that's a good one. I think we went through a bad time there with Sambuca and peach schnapps, and who remembers the slippery nipples and the Sambuca? They were just god awful. I think I still can't drink any peach schnapps. I don't like it. I like apricot and pear schnapps, but not peach. But I had an affinity for good German beer back then. I did like that. Wasn't so much into wine yet. I got a little bit into wine. I did like gin, and the person that turned me on to gin was a guy named Les Lafond. Do you remember? Director of Student Affairs. He turned me on to gin. He also taught me how to drink scotch, which I thought was, I don't think people do that anymore. I mean, here's a guy who took me under his wing at some of the trustees meetings and taught me how to drink scotch, and said, sip it slow, put it on the rocks, and just have one drink and don't go overboard, and then learn to like it because it's a good drink to have around people, cultured people, And that's the kind of education that I think it wasn't learned in the classroom, but it was learned by the director of student affairs. And I love that guy. He taught me a lot beyond the textbook. I got a thumbs up from Michelle Dupree there. You know what I'm talking about. Good man, really good man.
Yeah, Michelle also said I can't smell peach still after my Bryant peach tree snaps.
But we yeah, any other questions? What do we have? Who still can't smell peach? Yeah, can't smell.
Yeah, well, Dieter, I'm actually gonna just take you off the spotlight. Maybe if everyone wants to kind of
Great.
turn their mute off, and maybe kind of have a casual conversation. We'll take this into grid view and come up and say hi. And maybe show us like some of the drinks that you made tonight. What were your favorites? Anyone want to say hi to Dieter?
Come on, someone jump off.
Do you see us on grid view right now, Dieter?
Pardon?
Do you get to see everyone kind of like on the screen right now?
Yeah, I've seen them up on top, but they don't all show up because they're. Click over here. Click. There we go.
Grid view.
Okay.
Well, awesome. We also have another platform that we can hop on. I can pop in the chat. It's called Sidebar, which kind of generates smaller conversations. And so if you see a classmate or you want like a private conversation with Dieter, we can also hop on there. But you know, this is super casual, and this is the fun part where we get to mingle and have some drinks. So I'll put that in the chat in case anyone wants to go over there.
Did anybody have any luck finding these specific products and then follow along? Or did you ad lib and use different items? I know we set it up with Town in East Providence. If anybody's up in that area, it's a pretty good wine shop. They should stock most of the stuff. We give them a heads up in case anybody was looking for it. So you can call around. You can ping me. I've got my contact information in LinkedIn, and you can ping me if you're looking for any of these products, or if you want to talk about anything afterward. I'd be happy to do that. Michelle Hoffmeister, we should get together and collaborate on some of the aperitif wines I have that go well with the Fever Tree. So
I would love that. Yeah, my office has a full bar, so my door is open to you.
Where's your office in Manhattan?
The Flatiron.
Okay.
Right, Madison Square Park. So yeah, if anyone's in New York, please reach out to me. I'm also on LinkedIn. We could do anything with Dieter and I. I'd love that. Show you how to mix the best drinks possible.
Yeah.
Start enjoying drinking, not dreading it.
And I think all the importers in the wine and spirits world, we're all nestled in that one area, right around Flatiron, every between like 35th and 18th. We're all right in there. Sternick, Banville, Winebow, everybody's right in there. It's picked a good place to be.
And New York is starting to come back alive, so don't be too scared of it.
Good. Yeah, it'll come back. It's never gonna die.
Yep, she's opening up again.
They're trying their hardest to kill it, but it won't die.
Well, we discovered Fever Tree a couple of years ago, and now that's the only thing we'll make a gin and tonic with. And we found a market near our house now that has a bunch of the varieties, so that's been fun to try too. So we just picked up the grapefruit. We saw that for the first time a couple weeks ago. So we haven't had it yet, but we have it in the fridge, so we're ready.
And we're constantly launching new products. So, you know, we have our different flavored tonics, but now we're getting into the more sodas. So we're trying to really target this tequila boom. So
with the grapefruit, it's a good mix.
Yeah, we made the grapefruit specifically for tequila and vodka, but we just launched a Yuzu and lime soda that's really meant to really enhance that tequila and make it taste not so bitter.
Which one is that, Michelle? Which one?
It's called Sparkling Yuzu and Lime. It literally just launched last week. So
Okay. I picked up
yeah.
the elderflower tonic,
That's
really good.
Yep.
One of my faves.
and this
Yeah.
is one of my go-tos. The ginger beer. Holy cow!
Mhm.
Gin and ginger beer, and rum. I use the Smith and Cross rum with the ginger beer, and I love it.
a weird thing that tastes really good is apple cider, ginger beer, and whiskey. Like you wouldn't imagine putting those together. It's
No, I can see that.
absolutely like it's kind of like not a hot toddy, because that's obviously not what a hot toddy is, but it's warm or cold. It's really great. So, and we just actually started producing this stuff in the US. So it's now USA made. So well, part of the portfolio is so. Yeah, thank you guys so much for showing your support. It means the world. We're kind of a startup, so.
Yeah, when did you guys start? I've seen you guys on the market maybe like a couple years ago or a year ago.
Yeah, we launched, I've been at the company for 2 years. We launched 3 years ago. It was originally just a UK-based company, but people in the US really started to really enjoy actually mixing instead of, you know, the college drinking, as Dieter was talking about earlier, that, you know, you kind of get older and you want to realize, I want to enjoy a drink and make it taste better. And that's, you know, where the market opened for us. So we've grown 70% year over year. So it's just a great company to be a part of. And I'm so glad that I'd never think Brian and Fever Tree would be like together. And it just made me so happy to get a message from you guys. So
It shows the power of
deal.
our Bryant network, right?
yeah, seriously, it's crazy. Such a small world.
No, for sure. Looks like we had a party over here at Dawn's place.
So do we have anybody on here that's got a group together?
Well, yeah, we need a speaker because we can't hear that great because everybody's talking too loud.
Hey guys.
Hi, Jim. Hi,
Hi.
Michelle. Some people we know. Robin was there somewhere. Kathleen.
She's at the in-person party right now.
I can't really see that well because I want to see everybody. And I was just said, "Where's Robin?" So it's in person.
Yeah, they're having a in-person party at Thirsty Beavers, and they're serving at a cash bar all 3 drinks that Dieter made today. So
Oh, cool.
We were a little late because
We
Carol
got it.
thought it started at 7, so
7:30.
7:30, right, yes,
So
sorry.
we were a little late.
did you guys actually get to make all 3 drinks, or is 1 or 2? Oh, there's Robin waving.
Yeah, we made them before we got on, and then I think we made all 3.
Yeah,
I like the tequila one. I heard you saying something about tequila earlier, and that like perked my ears.
Awesome.
Well, thanks for doing this. This was great.
No problem.
You're
I'm
welcome.
glad you guys enjoyed it.
Thank you.
So while we're all talking, I'm going to make a drink that's on the back of the card called the Corn and Oil. I love this drink. This is a very traditional Barbados cocktail, and it's made with the original recipe calls for backstrap rum. There's a good story there because there's really no such thing as backstrap rum. It's just a marketing ploy, but there's a lot of people here from the Boston area. You know, Boston was basically built on rum and codfish, and there's some great books if you want to read about it. Kurlansky does a lot of book called Cod. You should read it if you like fish and history and Boston. And Cod's a really cool book. So he wrote a book called Salt, Cod, and what's the other one I really like? Oyster, History on a Half Shell in New York. But if you look at the history of Boston, they were running molasses up to Boston, and they were basically taking a byproduct from sugar. They were processing sugar, taking the waste that they'd normally throw into the field, and they were putting on a boat for ballast and running it up to Boston, and they were vinifying. They were fermenting molasses to make rum because they, you know how people are in Boston. They weren't the Quakers and the Puritans from Philly. They were the Bostonians. They had to have their booze, and this was a cheap way to make booze in the colonial time. They made rum out of molasses. So that's backstrap rum. It's usually darker, richer. This is we're using the Smith and Cross again, Jamaican, but you should really use a Barbados rum if you're going to do a corn and oil. Smith and Cross is perfect because it's a rich, earthy rum. And then we're going to put about a 2-to-1, 2 parts rum to 1 part velvet falernum. This is something you may never heard about, but it's a staple for any kind of tiki drinks. You should Mai Tais, rum swizzles. You should try and get a bottle of this. It's low alcohol, not expensive, but it's delicious. It's a Barbados tradition. It's you can have actually a syrup called falernum, a non-alcoholic syrup, which is sugar, and there's herbs, there's almonds. It's basically sugar, almonds, and lime, and then there's a few other coriander, clove. There's some other herbs and other spices they put in there. But this is the traditional producer, John D. Taylor. This is the original, the one and only, the staple velvet falernum. It's low alcohol, but it's got rum, almond, lime juice, and clove and coriander. Those are the spices, and it goes great with any kind of tiki drinks. So I'm doing it basically. It's just simple. It's just velvet falernum, rum, and I'm going to squeeze a bunch of lime in there, about another part of lime. I'm back over here at the garnish station. It's a good one to bring outside in the afternoon. It's a rum, velvet falernum, and that was lime juice. I'm going to use my other Bryant shaker here. Be a little louder. Again, you want to get a good shake on this one. Get that dark rum. You got the lime juice in there. Man, getting old. No, we're not. All right. Strain it back over rocks. Put a big ice cube on this one. No? You guys want one?
Who else wishes they were in that real studio right now?
I'm also going to add a tad of bitters. Gives it that kind of that's another island tradition. These bitters are from Trinidad. Another quick shake.
Where does it get its name from, Dieter? Is it because of how it looks?
Pardon?
The corn and oil?
Yes, definitely because how it looks. So the original way it's supposed to look is you float the backstrap rum on top, and it looks like a layer of oil on top. It's much better shaken and integrated, but if that's how it got its original name. It's a good question. The corn being kind of a lighter color, and let's see, we'll take one, we'll do a little float. Yeah, a little layer there. All right. Hit it with a lime garnish. Boom. Boom. Sound effects. All right, studio audience. We're gonna have to call an Uber for you guys. You guys can share that one. All right, so the corn and oil. Cheers. Remember that one. That's good. It's got the tartness. but it's got a little sweet richness, back palate, and then you know, the heavy rum just kind of coats the mouth, but it's
Wonderful. Well, Dieter threw in an extra drink for us. I know he gave us 6 drinks in total that we can all enjoy throughout our 2-week programming of Reunion at Home. And so if you get a chance, definitely make all 6 if you can.
Well, it's great seeing everybody. Thanks for having me on. Great to be reconnected to those whom I haven't connected with in a while. And now that we're coming out of this thing, it'll be fun to see everybody in person again real soon.